Hey, I'm here at TVid's Torp, where I've been with the board all weekend. We've been discussing the Borderland of 2018, and we have some advice processes that we need advisors for. And previously, how the board has worked is that we've had an email list, right? But for many reasons, an email list isn't really ideal. An email list is closed. It only has a very set number of people in it. And also, above all, it's difficult to keep track of decisions in an email list. It's difficult to keep track of different threads at once. And it can be difficult to initiate proposals and sub-threads inside email threads, etc. And it also doesn't have a very nice overview to keep track of what decision belonged to what process. So we have been thinking in the board for since we were elected and come up with that we want a different system. We're also not happy with how Facebook works. There are a number of reasons for that. I'll touch on some of them. Number one, Facebook, as it's built, optimizes for polarized debate. Discussions that are very, very heated get pushed to the top, while comments that are more measured aren't quite as seen. Also, Facebook, because of how it's designed, means that you are engaged in a million mindsets at once. Most people are in a lot of different groups on Facebook. They might be discussing politics, dinner with their friends, some current issues of the day, images of people's cats, commenting on people's annoying babies, planning their trip to the countryside, etc., all at the same time while they're also discussing the borderland. This means that people aren't quite in a borderland mindset, and we want people to be in a borderland mindset when discussing the borderland. So our solution to this is going on a different platform. And I hear you, okay, the screams of no, not another platform. This is a bit different. We're not going somewhere else. We're setting up something specific for the Borderland. We've already set it up, and the board has started using it. The great thing about this is that we can open up as much of it as possible. So as compared to Slack, Slack is a closed ecosystem. You have to have an account on Slack to see the discussions. And you must log in order to see them, and there's an app and so forth. Borderland Talk is going to be different. Anyone will be able to follow a lot of discussions without logging in. You can post links to certain discussions and look at it that way. So it has the benefits of an email list, it has the benefits of Facebook, but it's accessible to anyone, even if people who don't have Facebook, which are shockingly, those of you on Facebook might not know this, but there are quite a few, and those people are right now being excluded from discussions about the Borderland. So the board have decided that we are moving forward with Borderland Talk. So now for processes where we want to seek advice in the same way as the board has previously done in email lists, we now want to seek advice through this platform we put up called Borderland Talk. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a little bit how this works. Borderland Talk is here, looks like a sort of forum. It's not unlike what you are used to in Facebook groups. And what you have here is different subgroups, okay? Now, when you first register on Borderland Talk, it won't be this confusing. You won't have all of these here. You'll just see this thing here called public groups, or if someone linked straight away to a group, you will get straight to that group, but then you have to join it, and then it appears in your sidebar here. Now, if we go to public groups, we see that we've created a few. We've created one here to talk about the Dreams platform, and perhaps the guides might use that as well. We have a group for the board. We've previously thought about having that for advisors, but we are now moving into a process where we're actually starting out with having advisors based on the process that they are going to advise on. We have a group for advice processes, and that is going to have subgroups, and one of those is memberships, and one of those is the very mysterious Fund 51, and we will explain more about what that is later. It's a new, exciting development. We have a bullshit bazaar where you can just go and bullshit to your heart's content, and that's the one I'm going to show you. There's talk maintenance where you can post problems and bugs that you find with the platform. And then there's actually been a group started about building a temple at the Borderland 2018. Luciano has that particular dream that he wants to coordinate here. So let me show you how a forum like this looks. So if I go to this bullshit bazaar, so this is where we play around with Borderland Talk and test features and just worship the gods of chaos in general. And I can show you a post here, which highlights a little bit why Borderland Talk has a lot of good features. Okay, so if I go to this one, I started an advice process here about that I want to make sandals the only approved footwear at the Borderland. And that's because, they're cool. You can have winged sandals and they're nice and comfortable. And yeah, I have all kinds of reasons here. Here's a picture of a sandal, and then we started a bit of a test conversation. I started a proposal where I asked people if they agree or abstain or disagree with this proposal. But you can actually start all kinds of different sorts of proposals. You can start a check where people just say check yes to something, check a box. You can start a poll of multiple options. You can start a dot vote. A dot vote, you can give people 10 dots each, and then they get to distribute those among different options, and then you get to see what's the most, how people prioritize among different possible options. You can start a time poll, essentially just a doodle, but on Borderland Talk. And you can also start a ranked choice, so that you list different choices and people rank them in order of priority or importance or something like that. So these are different tools we can use to try seeking advice from people, both in text and through these tools. And this is how it looks when you try to start one. For example, a dot poll, it could be good for allocating a budget. And there are some options here and so forth. Okay, so in this case, we see here that I started this proposal. Christian said that, well, yeah, okay, sure, but he wants to make an amendment. 5-finger shoes should be allowed as well. They look weird. Brooks just disagrees. Fredrik abstains. And when Christian proposed the 5-finger sandals, I actually went and I added that to my context. I said that, Christian pointed out that 5-finger shoes should be permitted. And then he changes his vote and he says that, okay, I agree. Thanks for amending the 5-finger sandals. And here we have a discussion. Ulrika comes in and posts a picture of Rickard in great sandals. Brooks posts a message, and then someone has created an account called the Devil's Advocate just for fun, and saying they approve this message and so forth. So this is how a thread can look like at Borderland Talk. And the good thing is that you get emails. I mean, you can decide if you don't want to get emails, but the standard is that you get emails for threads you are engaged in. And when you get an email, you can actually just reply to that email, and that reply goes straight to Borderland Talk. So it's as simple as that. You just get an email, and I can show you how an email like that looks. An email from Borderland Talk looks like this. Here, Christoph has replied to me in a thread. All right, thanks for the question. I'll figure it out. And if I reply to that reply gets sent to Borderland Talk and is listed as me replying to that thread. So that means that for a lot of people that don't like logging into a separate platform, they won't have that problem. They can just reply through email, and all is fine and good in the world. So, when you get your invite link to Borderland Talk, you actually don't have to wait for that. You can go to talk.theborderland.se and create your account, go to public groups and join the public groups that you're interested in. But the things where we really need your advice and why we're inviting you right now to Borderland Talk is to talk about two things. It's especially here you have these subgroups, Fund 51 and memberships. In memberships, we have a subgroup where we will talk about running advice processes on memberships and registrations, and this includes membership numbers, price, release dates, registration process, etc. Nobody's created a thread here yet, but we are finalizing what the board's proposal on how to do this today, and I think we will post that here before you get this video, so then there will actually be something to engage with here. And on Fund 51, this is an idea about creating a year-round fund where Borderlands can apply to do things all year round, and this will work in a different way than the dream grants work. So we need some advice on both of these things, and we are sending invitations to specific people to advise us on membership and other people to advise us on Fund 51. But these threads are public. Anyone can register, anyone can participate. But right now we are personally inviting people to participate, and then if other people decide to participate too, that's fine and welcome. And what we're hoping is that apart from Borderland Talk now being where actually the board has its own group where it communicates as it did in the mailing list of old, which is right now a closed group where we also talk about some matters that we would otherwise talk about during meetings, but now can use Borderland Talk for. We've also started using Borderland Talk to coordinate the Dreams platform, and Christoph has been communicating with me about that here. And I think that with Borderland Talk, I think we can move away from a lot of the polarized problems we've had with Facebook. A lot of that comes from that it's a Facebook group of 8,000 people, where discussions can very quickly get inflamed because of the structure of how Facebook works and optimizes for you to answer straight away right now. That's not necessarily good, and I think with Borderland Talk we'll have some more measured debate. People will wait with answering a little bit more because it doesn't have this gamified aspect that Facebook has, trying to optimize for you to respond immediately. So those are the main things about Borderland Talk. I would just say that you can create accounts here to have fun with, and especially when you're posting in the Bullshit Bazaar, or when you just find that someone is making an argument that you want to have a little bit of fun with. Maybe you can create a devil's advocate post and go into an alter ego. We are after all seeking to try to live the Borderland ethos all year around. So if you can have some fun with that within some limits, I think that's a cool idea. I think that's all for Borderland Talk at this moment. Don't hesitate talking to me or anyone else on the board on advice on how to do things. It doesn't work exactly like Facebook. One important aspect that I might bring up now, just in the end, is that as opposed to Facebook, anyone can edit the first title and what we call the context of any thread. So, for example, here we can go to the Bullshit Bazaar, and I can go to Ulrika's posts. And even though you're not the moderator, you can edit the context of her post and the title. This might seem strange to some people, but the idea of this is that the context here, that's where you define what you're going to discuss in this thread. You're not necessarily supposed to define your opinion in that first post, because that can be changed by anyone, and that can also be updated as the conversation progresses, to update it with information about what decisions have already been made, how far we've gotten, and so forth. And the same with the title. If we decide halfway through the thread that actually, you know what, this thread is now about something slightly different and includes some things that it didn't include before, and we're not going to split into two threads, we can update the title. And anyone can update the title that's a member of that subgroup or group. And I actually think this is a good thing. This creates more of a wiki kind of a feel around the platform, something that Facebook lacks. Okay, I'm not going to go further into this now. It's been a 16-minute introduction right now to Borderland Talk. I hope you won't have problems with it, and that will work. It's quite simple, and as I said, don't hesitate to contact me or anyone in the board with questions on how to engage with it. And we're looking forward to your advice. And we're leaving TV's Talk now. Ciao.